Alright fellas, now the fallout from the Haney Garcia match just seems never to stop. Just when you think you've heard the last of it, well you absolutely haven't. Devin Haney, although he got paid off for the weight difference and had his loss erased off his record, he's still continuing to complain. Now filing a lawsuit against Ryan Garcia alleging battery, fraud and unjust enrichment. Although arguably justified, I think this move is an incredibly worrying sign for the mentality of Team Haney and their beliefs moving forwards. So let me break it down for you and explain how this situation could hugely negatively impact Haney's career and what could be next for him. Now, I think this came as a relative surprise for everyone. At least prior to the lawsuit, I saw the rematch as the most likely next step. I thought Team Haney would have been embarrassed by the loss, although saved by the doping allegations they would have wanted to run it back for all the marbles. While also, it's probably the biggest money fight they could find themselves in at the moment. For Haney, his market value is horrendous. After the Garcia matchup, Haney was slated to verse his WBC mandatory being Sandor Martin. Now the purse bid for this bout only had one bid, coming from Top Rank being 2.42 million. No promoters affiliated to Haney even wanted to bid. Out of this purse, Haney would have got a 70% cut. Almost the same amount of money he got paid because Ryan missed his weight. And that's why essentially this fight never happened, because the money just wasn't good enough. I understand Haney wanted an apparent break, but if he was offered decent money for a fight, he would have been back in the ring. And why isn't he being offered any decent money for a fight that isn't a super fight? Well, Haney's value when it comes to selling pay-per-views, as said before, isn't very high. Prior to the Garcia matchup, he got pretty lucky with Cambosis. The Victorian state government bankrolled these events to have it in the state, and for the Lomachenko or Regis Prograis fights, these sales weren't good enough for any party to come to the table this time with a substantial offer. So coming off a horrendous performance against Garcia, having him return against anyone who isn't one of the biggest names in boxing wouldn't see him get the payday he wants. Now, no matter what your opinion is on the whole Haney-Garcia situation, I don't think this fight has done great PR for Team Haney. From a reputation point of view, the performance, not a good look. The campaigning to get the loss removed, once again, not great. And to put the cherry on top, this lawsuit has kickstarted the barrage of people questioning Haney. Reputation aside, is Haney actually right in all these actions? Well, I would say he absolutely is. In terms of the lawsuit, we have seen this sort of thing before. Lawsuits have become a not surprising part of the sport. Not exactly the same, but we did see Wilder sue Povetkin after their bout was cancelled due to Povetkin testing positive. After Lucien Boutte fought Badou Jack in 2016, Boutte tested positive for the same drug avosterine. Although no lawsuit was filed, Jack and his promoter Mayweather did threaten to sue. Bill Haney is correct in lawsuits are a part of boxing. People have been begging him for filing the lawsuit, yet my criticism doesn't come from are they correct or not in doing this. My point more comes from this is going to affect Haney's career moving forwards. Building Haney's reputation is key to getting the big money fights they want, yet suing and proudly bragging about it doesn't help. As I said before, the Garcia matchup is probably the biggest money fight they could get when he becomes unbanned. This fight doesn't need any more so-called hype, and this lawsuit may make Golden Boy less willing to come to the negotiating table. If Haney can't come to an agreement with Garcia, I think his potential future looks shaky. There's a reason why we're seeing Bill Haney speak out every day or two, mainly because they're clawing at getting a big fight next. And if they can't land Garcia, who's still left on the table? Now, the one they've been talking about recently has been Teofimo Lopez. The Haney team says he's not coming to the table, while the Lopez team says Team Haney isn't coming to talk. A back and forth as old as time. This fight's a risky option for both fighters, yet Haney is looking like he needs the fight, while for Teo, it's just another option. Haney doesn't seem to want to fight the likes of Sandor Martin and is chasing after the bag, while for Lopez, he's fine fighting whoever on that top rank check while chasing bigger fish like Terence Crawford, which he'll most likely never catch. Tank is too small and Haney's never going to return to fight anyone at 135. He could hope for a fight against Liam Para if Para gets through his next bout and get that Australian government funded check again. Yet who knows if Para will get through his next bout, and that's still a little while off. Although Haney has been struggling with his weight even at 140, so a move up to 147 could be on the cards, with the likes of Conor Benn and Jaron Ennis being the money fights in that division. Haney would love to get his hands on Benn, which would be a huge fight. However, Hearn is saving that Conor Benn record for a Eubank showdown, and for Jaron Ennis, we will never see that fight. For Haney, that's a long night out and he won't want that anytime soon. As seen with his last purse bid, there seems to be a lack of interest around smaller Haney fights. He simply doesn't have the pull to get people interested in him fighting against a name which the casual fan doesn't know. I don't know if the Saudis are interested or not in pulling him in. We have seen the likes of Shakur join the Riyadh season stable and be scheduled to fight less important bouts. It was rumoured that they were involved to try and make Lopez v Haney, yet for Haney they seem to be just interested in these bigger fights and there's been no rumours of them being involved in any smaller bouts. While even further, Bill in the last couple days has crowned Jake Paul the face of boxing. Does that mean they look at Haney becoming a crossover boxer and try to chase that check, facing similar opponents to Jake Paul? I absolutely hope not. Also, the question does turn to, after all these sort of panic tactics of suing and wheeling out Bill Haney to drum up speculation of big fights, how much faith does his own team have in his own future? The Garcia fight was pretty brutal, and for many fighters this would be incredibly hard to recover from. So if they get back in the room with Garcia and it's much of the same or worse, where do they go from there? Or what happens if he steps in the ring for a stay busy fight and he isn't the fighter he once was? There's a lot of variables to consider. As said before, lawsuits are a part of boxing, and with the Badou Jack case, the promoters did threaten to sue, but were smart enough to go, this might affect his reputation worse than the paycheck that this suit could provide. It makes me wonder, is this a lack of confidence, or even further, is this a cash out mentality? Taking an incredibly long break paired with looking for only big fights isn't great. They obviously don't want to take a stay busy fight because they know they won't get paid for it. Are they thinking they only have a few fights left? Well, I also do recognise with all of this that this talk is kinda crazy. Haney is a talent which was seen to potentially be the next Mayweather. A slick defensive fighter who would take fighters the 12 rounds, had no real power, yet always won. In the Garcia build-up, I thought there's no way that Haney loses. Yet I was proved wrong. This fight changed his reputation and put him in a position that no one thought was possible even 12 months earlier. From one of the brightest prospects in the sport, he is now on a shaky path. He's currently in a sink or swim situation. And I don't know if his team really realizes this. The general public opinion isn't great, and if they keep trying to say he's the best boxer in the world without continuing to show it, eventually the public will not care. His goal has clearly shifted from legacy to clout, aiming to be one of the bigger names in the sport, with his team constantly sprouting that it's the Devin Haney era. Yet if he loses another fight, it puts him on the cusp of irrelevancy to the casual fan, and at that point, it's a long road back. Anyways, I want to hear what you think is next for Haney. Leave it down below. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It does a lot to help the channel. Thanks for watching, fellas, and I'll catch you in the next one.